Hello and welcome to the 6th round of the Skill Issue Fantasy Series at 2000. We are at Bathurst / Mount Panorama if you prefer, and we're here on the qualifying hot lap. Now this first corner is a 90-degree left-hand turn with a bit of camber on the inside near the apex, which on the surface of it isn't that big of a deal, but you have to remember what cars it is we're using for these races, and if you have a little bit too much throttle in or out of any corner, the car is going to be turned the wrong way around. Now, as we come to the right-hander to approach the uphill sector of this circuit, you're going to try and brake around the 100-meter board, take third gear, fourth if you're feeling extra spicy, so that you can get some power down, and then gotta balance the car through this left hand, and then short shift your way up the hill. I short shifted too early coming up the hill, and that would cost me at the end stages of the lap, unfortunately, but better safe than incredibly sorry. My default state is sorry because I'm of Canadian descent, so that's totally fine. Coming around the top of the mountain, now we got to start working our way down. As you come over Sunset, I've had difficulty trying to balance the brakes. I don't think I've done a lap on this track in this car going over the hill there without locking up, but as we make our way through the S's, just trying to keep it balanced because it's so easy to lock up as it is to overshoot any one corner. But we made it through in one piece, making that final left to end that middle sector, and on the long back straight. Great place if you want to catch a slipstream. I'm unfortunately too far behind on this qualifying lap to take any advantage of that, but coming along the right hand corner here to the chicane, making up the final little complex of turns before the final corner, coming out of it smooth, no drama, not getting bent out of shape, just got to head towards that final corner, try to hit 75-80 meters, coast in, easy power down, clip a little of the curb if you have to just to get the car pushed forward again, and that is the lap. So in the end, I would come away with a nice calm P10 on the qualifying, which is not excellent, but it's a difficult track and a much more difficult car to drive. So I will take that as a personal win and get on with the race. So we've got the lights set up and pulling into second gear as the lights go green, mistiming that start, but that does help me get some power down, unfortunately losing a position on the inside. Not going to cry about it though, going to try and get it back around the first corner, going to go wide, not making contact, and keeping P11 dropping a position into the first, and out of the first corner, excuse me. And going down the long straight, unfortunately did not have a good enough exit to catch any slipstream, so we're going to try to hope and outbrake the cars ahead a little bit going to this corner just to make up some of that distance, and that is almost what happened, except I slid the back end out a bit there, and that sort of hamstrung any gains. Coming into this uphill left here, again, got to be so careful to balance the car. Not gonna cry or worry about losing any distance here, just got to get the car safely up and over the hills and managing to keep it tidy. Surprising in these cars with my inability. Now as we come along the last left-hander here at the top of the hill, already in fifth gear, touching the curb on the inside is dangerous, but we made it work. And then light braking down the hill, gonna try and tuck in and keep it clean out of the walls. The S's are dangerous in any car, and these cars, boy, they hate those direction changes. So just got to keep it nice and balanced, nice and smooth, and finishing the downhill section, losing a lot of distance, and there's a car sniffing up the backside there. A little bit of contact, I think, but we make it through onto the straight. And as we're cruising along the long back straight here, just like to give a welcome back for the first time since Road Atlanta. Hello, it's our friend Picture in Picture. And as we come onto the chicane here, getting a little bit of bumping on the back end here. But yeah, we brought the Picture in Picture back because, well, it's not a long video. I kind of assumed it wouldn't be when I added Bathurst to the calendar. So we're going to make the most of it here, finishing the lap and clipping too much curb, losing some power on the exit. And there goes the P10 car again, unfortunate. Going to try and catch up into this first corner, tucking into the camber of the turn and sliding the back end a little bit on the exit. Very unfortunate. But we're not falling back that far, so there's hope after all. And sometimes hope is all you need, except in this case where you also need to be good at driving. Oh my god, okay, yep, the car started backing up ahead a little bit there. Got a little bit brake check into that corner. That freaked me out as I'm recording the voiceover well after recording the race. Coming up the left hand here, tucking back in behind the car, and again, got a short shift up the hill. Losing the back end, losing distance to the car behind. Double yellow flag. That's concerning on this track, but nothing happening immediately ahead of us, so just coming around the top of the hill again, gonna try to hit fifth gear coming along this left, which we do, and then we are headed down towards Sunset once again. I think it's called Sunset. I believe I've heard that downhill crest, if you like, was called Sunset. I could be wrong. But anyways, we're making our way through the sweepers. Car behind is trying to take a sniff up the tailpipe. Coming along this left-hander here. Again, don't want to overshoot anything. Don't want to spin the car around. Finishing the mountain for a second time. Still in P11, still losing distance. Checking for damage. We're all okay. And as we are along this back straight here, I feel like this is a good time to just casually mention that I've never done 10 consecutive laps on this track in any game on any car. It has always eluded me, unfortunately, and I added it to the championship as a challenge to see if I could do it. Spoiler, no, we are already more than halfway into this video, so it doesn't end well, unfortunately, but this lap does end well. Still in P11, but making up some ground, going to the first corner, gonna try and make some move up towards the back of the car, and there goes the back of my car slipping out. Just too eager to get back on the power. Unfortunately, it's not serving well my inability to use my right foot, but catching some slipstream. And we're gonna try to make a move on either direction here, going into that first right hand, and there goes the car sliding sideways, not into the wall. And actually, I think it stayed in track limits the entire time too, which is pretty great. But unfortunately, just dropping off the table in the standings down to P20. So coming to one of the most finicky turns on this track, this left-hander here, gotta be so steady with the throttle, and I'm a little rattled, if I'm honest, at the inability to keep the car pointed in the right direction for an entire race on this track, but we're gonna make it work. Coming across the top of the hill here, gonna hit 5th gear as we come along the final left-hand to the top of the hill. And as we start cresting down towards the S's, there's a pileup, there's a lockup, collision, making contact with the car, with the wall, with another car. And unfortunately, that would be a hectic amount of front wing damage for me. On a track that has two very long straights, gonna make a move on the inside, make a couple of positions up to P16, losing one of those immediately back down to P17. Then another car on the outside puts me back down to P18, and that's really unfortunate because here's another car down to P19, and that front wing damage is wreaking havoc, unable to pull away, grabbing a ton of extra drag with the damage. You don't love to see that one. As we come into the chicane here, just got to keep it balanced, and worried, frankly, about getting my butt cheek sniffed by another car. So we come into the final corner here, and there's contact from the car behind, but no extra damage from that. I think we're actually okay. Finishing lap 3, almost spinning into the wall, but finishing lap 3 in P19. So as we start the 4th lap of the race, I've now got suspension damage. I've got a front wing that has taken an absolute beating, and we come along this straight, and you can clearly see I just don't have the power. Look at that. Zed James is just running away with it. The cars behind are catching up. So, I mean, the steering's a bit knackered. The front wing is trash. Losing another position, or fighting for the position. Actually, I thought I was just dead and gone. Nope, there it goes. There goes the position. Hello, P21. Coming along the uphill section here. Downshift a little too much to try and rotate the car. And as we come along the right here, the car will not turn. That's contact with the wall. That's more suspension damage. That's another position dropped. Unfortunately, we are at the top of the hill now, so we're trying to keep it as tidy as possible when you're in P22 with stunted legs and a crappy wing on the front of the car. Coming down the S's, gonna try and keep it nice and tidy. You don't need so much aero here because you don't pick up that much speed, to be fair. But as we come along the final turn of the downhill section, turning left, the car won't rotate, and that's more damage into the wall. And I've got to call it here. The front wing is red with anger. The right side suspension is trash. And I have always approached these things with the mentality that if I can get past the first lap of a race, then I have to finish the race or crash out. Like, I don't want to restart after that first lap. We are on lap 4 now. If this was like Spa or one of the other races where incidents happened in that first lap, sure. But I've as far as my own sort of threshold, I've come too far into it. So we're just going to call it. Honestly, it's disappointing, but not surprising. You know what? That's just Bathurst, baby. Wow, that was a lot of words. I'm sorry. The energy was not there. I am so very tired. And I'm trying to get these all recorded, at least, if not all cut together and edited before I start uploading. Haven't uploaded one of them yet as I'm recording this, so we'll see. Time will tell. But yeah, I didn't realize until this moment that I had forgotten to get video footage of the final standings of the race. So sorry about that, but we do have the championship standings here. And as you can see, it's your boy Thick Rick Rage, the big Ragu himself, still holding 3rd place in the championship standings, which frankly is a miracle because I've only finished half of the races so far, which is such a bad statistic. Up next is Suzuka in Japan, which is a beautiful, beautiful track. I love it very much. I'm hoping to have a good race, and you know what? The pattern's there so far with this championship. It's good race, then horrible race, then good race, then horrible race, and this was a bad race. So we'll see how Japan goes. But time will tell on that one. Until then, thanks for watching. Have a good day, make good choices, and bye.